Today, we are not going to talk about becoming rich, because honestly, that part is easy to imagine. Everyone dreams about millions, luxury, and success. But very few people understand the harder question: how do you stop being poor? Because poverty is not just about having less money. It behaves like a force, something invisible, but extremely powerful. It keeps pulling you back every time you try to move forward. Think about it like gravity. When a rocket tries to leave Earth, it doesn't gently float upward. It has to fight against a massive force pulling it down. And to break free, it must reach a very specific speed, escape velocity. If it falls even slightly short of that speed, it doesn't get close to space. It falls all the way back down. This is exactly how financial life works for most people. You work hard. You save a little. You try to improve your situation. And for a moment, it feels like you are making progress. But then something happens. An unexpected expense. A health issue. Rent increases. And suddenly, everything collapses. You don't just lose progress. You fall back to where you started, sometimes even lower. This is not because you are lazy, and it's not because you didn't try hard enough. It's because you didn't reach escape velocity. And the truth is, in this system, working a little harder is not enough. Because the pressure holding you down grows faster than your effort pushing you up. There is a deeper reason behind this. Poverty is expensive. When you don't have money, everything costs more. You cannot buy in bulk, so you pay higher prices over time. You cannot afford quality, so you replace cheap things again and again. You delay important decisions like healthcare, which later become much more expensive problems. There is a famous idea that explains this perfectly. A person who can afford a high-quality product pays once and uses it for years. But someone who cannot afford it keeps buying cheaper versions again and again, spending more in the long run. The system quietly charges you extra for being in a weaker position. So you are not just moving forward with less money, you are moving forward with extra weight. And while all of this is happening outside, something even more dangerous is happening inside your mind. When you live under constant financial stress, your brain changes. You stop thinking long-term. You stop planning. You become reactive instead of strategic. Your focus shifts from building a future to surviving the present. This creates a loop. Low income creates stress. Stress leads to poor decisions. Poor decisions prevent growth. And the cycle repeats itself over and over again. This is the poverty loop. But here's the important part. Every system that traps you also has a way out. The first step is not becoming rich. It is creating stability. Most people skip this. They jump directly into investing, trying to grow money they don't actually have. But without stability, every small setback destroys progress. So the first goal is simple. Build a small buffer. Even a modest safety net changes everything. It turns emergencies into inconveniences. It gives your brain space to think clearly again. It allows you to stop reacting and start deciding. Once you have that, you face the second trap, the emotional one. When life feels heavy, your brain looks for relief. And the easiest relief is spending. Buying something new, eating out, upgrading something you don't need. For a short moment, it feels like control, but that feeling fades quickly, and what remains is the financial damage. So the real problem is not spending, it is why you spend. When you understand this, you can replace temporary pleasure with long-term control. The third trap is how you earn money. Most people are taught that time equals money. If you want more money, you work more hours. But time is limited. You cannot scale it forever. And while your time is limited, your expenses are not. So you end up stuck, working harder but not moving forward. The only way out is to shift from time-based income to value-based income. This happens when you build skills. Not just one, but a combination. When you combine abilities, you become harder to replace. And when you are harder to replace, your value increases. The market does not reward effort. It rewards value. The fourth trap is your environment. You might not notice it, but you slowly become like the people around you. Their thinking, their habits, their expectations, they influence you more than you realize. If your environment is negative, limited, or stuck, it will pull you back no matter how hard you try to move forward. So sometimes, growth requires distance. Not necessarily physical distance, but mental distance. You replace noise with better input, better ideas, better perspectives. Your environment becomes something you choose, not something you accept. And finally, we reach the most important part, the engine of wealth. There are two types of people in the financial system: those who pay interest and those who earn it. If you are constantly paying interest on debt, the system works against you. Every day, you lose a little more. But when you start owning assets, even small ones, the system begins to work for you. Your money starts generating more money. At first, it feels slow, almost invisible, but over time, it accelerates. This is compounding, and it is one of the most powerful forces in finance. So the path out is not complicated, but it is difficult. First, stabilize your situation. Second, control your impulses. Third, increase your value. Fourth, protect your mindset. And finally, move toward assets. Step by step, because the goal is not quick money. The goal is freedom. The moment your income is no longer tied to survival, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer. Your options expand. Your life becomes something you can shape, instead of something you just react to. And that moment is your escape velocity. Once you reach it, you are no longer fighting gravity. You are finally moving forward. And that changes everything.